comes at a time when the country is deeply divided. And now you're going to be leading this country for the next 4 years. For the sake of unifying this country, will you concede the 2020 election and turn the page on that chapter?
No. No, why would I do that? But let me just tell you, when you say the country is deeply divided, I'm not the president. Joe Biden's the president.
But you're going to be the president.
No. I'm not the president. So when you say it's deeply divided, I agree. But Biden's the president, I'm not. And he has been a divider. And you know where he divided it more than anything else, and it probably backfired on him, I think definitely, is weaponization. When he weaponized the Justice Department and he went after his political opponent, me. He went after his political opponent violently because he knew he couldn't beat him. And I think it really was a bad thing. And it really divided our country.
Sir, Democrats have control of the White House now. They didn't in 2020. If they are going around stealing elections, why
when you
didn't
say
they
Democrats
do it
have control now
of the White House?
Yeah.
So why didn't they steal this election? Since they have more power now.
Because I think it was too big to rig.
So you won't.
Too big to rig.
To the people who say that you're now directing your Justice Department to investigate 2020, and they want to move on.
Very capable. I think Pam is going to be great.
Precious resources.
By the way,
is that what you want them to do?
Just so you know, I have the right to do that, but I'm not interested in that.
Oh, you're not. You're not going to do that.
I'm not interested.
Okay.
I have the absolute right. I'm the chief law enforcement officer. You do know that. I'm the president. But I'm not interested in that. You know what I'm interested in? Drilling and getting prices down and stopping people from pouring into our border that come from prisons and mental institutions. And the reason is because I'm able to go on a show, even like yours, even though you're very hostile, I'm able to go on a show like yours. No, you are.
Well, hopefully you thought it was a fair interview. We covered a lot of policy ground.
It's fair only in that you allowed me to say what I say. But, you know, the answers, the questions are, you know, pretty nasty. But look, because I've seen you interview other people like Biden. And
I've never interviewed President Biden.
When I say you, I'm talking metaphorically. I've seen George Stephanopoulos interview Biden, and he's a tough interviewer. It's the softest interview. I've seen CNN interview him. They give these soft, you know, what's your favorite ice cream? It's a whole different deal. I don't understand why. You know, you would think the press would like to see strong borders, great education, a powerful military, so we have a country left, and all these different things. And somehow they don't want to see that.
What's going on, guys? I saw an interesting interview, which is Kristen Welker and Donald Trump finally sat down for another interview since he became president-elect. I just saw from the intro, she already started. Like, I don't understand why the left-wing media continues trying to place the blame of division on Donald Trump. We all know, you know, I know, that it's the media that caused it. Many Americans believe that media is the reason why many people here in this country is divided. Look at CNN. Look at how they framed Donald Trump. I mean, the mainstream media, right? Legacy media. You cover Donald Trump 87% of the time negative. And you're going to pretend that Donald Trump's the one causing division in this country. And I like how he shut down this whole election denialism kind of angle that she's going with. And this is the main critique I have for legacy media, is that I already point out the bias of many journalists. Journalism is the most liberal profession in America. In the U.S., only 3.4% of journalists are Republicans. So you know a majority of these journalists are going to take a left-wing angle on this stuff.
Willing to accept a salary as president?
I'm not going to accept a salary, no. And I'm giving up a lot of money, you know. Do you know, it amazed me, that, and maybe this isn't right, but other than George Washington, and they're not sure about that, every president has accepted their salary except me.
And you did accept the pension, correct?
I don't think so.
You didn't accept your pension?
I don't think I accepted anything. I didn't. I get a salary. The president gets about $450,000 a year, and I didn't take it.
I want to ask you again about...
But by the way, I got no credit for that. That's okay.
Well, I am asking you about it for that reason.
Yeah.
And I think it's notable you're not going to accept a salary.
Yeah, I don't accept. I'm not. Yeah. I didn't, and I'm not going to. Okay. And I don't believe I got any credit for that. But I just feel it's, for me, it's a nice thing to do. I think this, and I was surprised. Not one president has done that. I would have assumed Roosevelt would have not accepted salary, or Kennedy, you know, Kennedy family is rich. I would have assumed that some of them. I'm the only president that...
Yeah, Kristen Welker, I think she's one of the most biased, like, journalists out there. Dana Bash is Dana Bash? Yeah, Dana Bash and her, oh my God, so blatant. Donald Trump blasts nasty, hostile Kristen Welker. You hurt yourself so badly. Welker laughed when Donald Trump said that she was a hostile interviewer. President-elect Donald Trump slammed NBC host and I said NBC host Kristen Welker for her obvious left-wing bias, saying that she hurts herself badly by not being neutral. Trump made the remark at 2 points during the interview on the Meet the Press that aired on Sunday. The first moment came when Welker was peppering him with questions related to the Democratic-led January 6th committee, which she repeatedly interrupted. It's amazing. I wish you could be, you have such potential, Trump says. Let's hear it in his own words. Let's hear it in his own words. Actually, I would rather hear it in his own words because there's many points. The interview was like 1 hour and 16 minutes long, and there's a couple moments in here is like it's so ridiculous. But let's watch it.
Let me ask you about some of this new reporting. NBC News is reporting that President Biden is considering giving preemptive pardons to the likes of Liz Cheney, Adam Schiff, and Anthony Fauci. If President Biden doesn't issue those pardons, do you think they are going to wish that he had? Are they going to be pursued?
I can tell you this about Cheney, and she's a so-called Republican. I think she hurt the Democrats terribly. When I saw that Kamala put Cheney out on the campaign trail, I said, that's the end of Kamala. I really did. I thought it was a terrible move, especially if you're a Democrat. But Cheney did something that's inexcusable, along with Thompson and the people on the Unselect Committee of political thugs and, creeps. So the Unselect Committee went through a year and a half of testimony. Wait. They deleted and destroyed all evidence of that they found. You know why? Because Nancy Pelosi was guilty.
And another thing too is that they had like hours and hours of video, and they went out and only searched for the clips that made January 6th look like absolute chaos. When there was less death, less property damage, January 6th than on any riot in BLM during the summer of 2020, during the summer of love, during Chaz, the autonomous zone created in Seattle. But they project this framing that is January 6th was such a bad thing, when in reality it was just a riot at best. And if they can call BLM situations that cause more death, more property damage than January 6th, and they call that a riot, they call that a protest, January 6th qualifies as a protest according to the left and the criteria they use to judge BLM riots and the Chaz zone. But it seemed like the left conveniently forgets about that. And I'm tired of this one-way narrative. And I think that's what's really hurting legacy media.
Nancy Pelosi turned down 10,000 troops. You wouldn't have had a J6 because other people were guilty. The people that said that I attacked 2 Secret Service agents in a car. I grabbed one around the neck. I was then rebuffed, and I grabbed the other one. These are 2 of the toughest men anywhere on the planet. They happen to be slightly younger than me, maybe, just a little bit. Let me just tell you. They testified. They said it was total. And all of this stuff came out. People lied so badly. Now, listen, this was a committee, a big deal. They lied. And what did they do? They deleted and destroyed a whole year and a half worth of testimony. Do you know that I think those people committed a major crime.
Sir?
Hey, that sounds like a cover. That sounds like a cover up to me. Like, is Hillary Clinton all over again? Oh, you want to hold the narrative here is Democrats are willing to hold Republicans accountable, but they don't want Republicans to hold them accountable. This is the message you're giving American people, and then you're going to pretend that Donald Trump's dividing people. Let's see how Kristen Welker reacts.
And Cheney was behind it, and so was Benny Thompson and everybody on that committee. For what they did, honestly, they should go to jail.
So you think Liz Cheney should go to jail?
For what they did.
Everyone on the committee, you think?
I think everybody on the
if you commit a crime, you go to jail.
Are you going to direct your FBI director and your attorney general to send them to jail?
Not that. They'll have to look at that, but I'm not going to. I'm going to focus on drill, baby, drill.
When you say that, it carries weight, though. You've tapped these people to lead the Justice Department and FBI.
They can do whatever they want.
Okay.
Biden can give him a pardon if he wants to, and maybe he should. Just remember, Unselect Committee, a year and a half of sworn testimony, And after getting all of the testimony, they deleted it. Wait.
Should these people be
and
held
they
accountable?
destroyed almost everything.
The Democrats want to talk about law and order. No one's above the law. But if they broke the law and Donald Trump has political motive to pursue that, but if it's just like, hey, they actually committed this crime, what's the problem here? And it goes back to the narrative. Like, you hold Republicans to a higher standard than you hold Democrats, because Democrats are your side journalists. And until journalists or credentialize these journalists that go to Ivy League schools, until they correct this little bias problem they have, no one's going to trust them when it comes to their negativity towards Republicans and their positivity towards Democrats.
There's nothing left. It's unprecedented.
And they deny
If you
doing
do that in a civil case, you go to jail.
You know they deny doing that. And officials say that the order never came in for
They
the National
put out
Guard.
a statement.
On January 6th, let me ask you this about January 6th. I think
Benny
you're going to want to
Thompson
answer
wrote
this.
in a statement that he has destroyed all evidence.
Let me ask you this about January
Amazing.
6th.
I wish you could be if you know, you have such potential. If you could be just non-biased, you hurt yourself so badly.
She is.
I'm telling you.
I've agreed.
They deleted and destroyed all the evidence. Everyone knows it. And you slough it off like it doesn't mean anything.
No, I'm
If
just
I
saying
did
they
it,
deny it. That's all I'm saying.
Kristen, if I did it, you would be standing up in that chair shouting at me. And you know what I'd do? I'd say, you got me. They have done something so illegal. They have a committee sworn to, and because it was so bad, the only reason they did it is because the testimony turned out to be in favor of me. Like Secret Service testified and disputed everything. It made them into a bunch of liars. Not Secret Service, it made the people. They got rid of it because it made Nancy Pelosi, the mayor of D.C., so many people look like criminals. And I will tell you, it's illegal for them to delete and to destroy that evidence.
Hey, I agree. I want to read one more excerpt, and then I'll show you some more clips, because it's very, you're going to see how they treated Donald Trump here. Later in the interview, Trump was talking about how he was being treated by the press. The press was obviously unfair to me. Yes, they are. If you look at the research, 87% of the time, the media, the press, covers Donald Trump 87% of the time negatively. Kamala Harris, 89% of the time positively. And she lost by a landslide. That means many people didn't think that she deserved all that positive coverage, but the media gave it to her anyway. How can you explain that other than bias? No president has ever gotten treated by the press like I was, and yet I have more votes than any Republican candidate in history by far. The media has to straighten itself out, because honestly, it lost all credibility. He continued, based on the press, I should have gotten no votes, no votes, none, and yet I got the highest number ever. And I want to show you some some moments. Shout out to Yeats Friedman. Today's president-elect Donald Trump sat with you're at Welker 1 hour and 16 minutes, right? First, what the hell is this? Welker condescends to Trump, appearing to be trying to convince him to raise the minimum wage rather than asking him a question. Totally inappropriate, right? And this kind of stuff is what gets the media called out for. Let's take a look.
There are 20 states that still have the federal minimum wage at $7.25, and I actually have a map. 19 of these states actually voted for you, sir. Mm-hmm. And you can see it right here. I don't know if you remember this, but during the debate in 2020, I asked you if you would raise the minimum wage. You said you would consider it. And so my question for you is, now that you are going back to the White House, for these 19 states that voted for you, are you going to raise the federal minimum wage?
It's a very low number. I will agree. It's a very low number. Let me give you the downside, though. Yeah. In California, they raised it up to a very high number.
Got him.
And your restaurants are going out of business all over the place.
Got him.
The population is shrinking.
Got her.
It's had a very negative impact. But there is a level at which you could do it, absolutely. Yeah.
What is that level, do you
I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I can say this. You have a lot of businesses that are open and thriving because of the lower minimum wage. If you raise it too much, and you understand this, if California went crazy, they went crazy. And the restaurants are closing all over. Many more people are hurt.
So
if you want to see the effects of minimum wage, all you got to do, this is what I love about our republic. States can run their thing however they want, right? So if California wants a $15 minimum wage, go for it. If Florida wants to have a $7 minimum wage, go for it, even though they don't. And then you see the outcomes. When Gavin Newsom raised the minimum wage for restaurant drivers, a lot of them got laid off. All the drivers got laid off. And when they asked the business owner, why you laid off all these drivers right after Gavin Newsom signed the law into power to take effect the higher minimum wage, he said, I can't afford them. They don't bring in that much revenue to justify increasing it artificially to that amount. And it's starting to look like, yo, we have become a country that's too comfortable, right? And it's like, yo, you can't sustain a family with this job. This job is supposed to be for young workers, people who are trying to get their feet wet in the workforce. And then when you make arbitrary top-down decisions, look at the outcomes. Do the government get punished for getting this wrong? Not until the election. But, I digress. Donald Trump handling this question is pretty good.
I hear you saying, similarly to sort of what you said in 2020, will you consider, is this something you're going to look at?
I'd want to speak to the governors. And the other thing that's very complicated about minimum wages is places are so different. Mississippi and Alabama and great places are very different than New York or California. I mean, in terms of the cost of living and other things. So it would be nice to have just a minimum wage for the whole country, but it wouldn't work because you have places where it's very inexpensive to live, where a minimum wage, which is $8 or $9, might have very little effect because the cost of living in certain places is really low.
Hey, yeah, that's true. Apparently, she tries to attack Trump on him wanting to repeal Obamacare. So let's hear what Trump has to say, and then I'll end off the clip.
Let us down by voting, and Murkowski and Collins and whoever it was that voted against. But they really let us down. They did us a great disservice because we would have had great health. Obamacare is lousy health care. It's very expensive health care for the people. It's also expensive for the country, but for the people.
It's true.
It's lousy health care.
Healthcare costs still rose after Obamacare was passed. So what Donald Trump's saying here is factually correct. When
John McCain gave his thumbs down after saying for 10 years that he wants to repeal and replace, okay? And then he came out, put his now famous thumbs down, and he became a hero to the left. Let me tell you, if we find something better, I would love to do it. But one thing I have to say, I inherited Obamacare or anything else you want to go. It's got about 20 names, but I inherited it. And I had a decision to make with Health and Human Services. I had a big decision to make. Do I make it as good as we can make it, or do I let it rot? And a lot of political people said, let it rot and let it be a failure. I said, that's not the right thing to do.
Because politically, if you try to fix something politically, the other side will castigate it as, oh, you're trying to remove it, deny, and then this is how the psyop works. And that's why I said politics is almost based exclusively on almost narratives instead of solutions. If it's focused on solutions, hey, this thing is not doing too well and it's hurting us already as it exists, we have to do something about it. The same thing with Social Security. But many you attempt to do anything to it, the other side will frame it as you're just trying to remove it and not replace it with anything. And this is the problem we have in our politics.
And I had very good people in the medical area that handled that. And I said, what do you want to do? He said, we really have an obligation to make it as good as we can. And we did. We made it as good as we can make it. Instead of making it bad where everybody would be calling for its repeal, I made it so that it works. Now,
but you did try to overturn it, sir.
It's
lousy.
You did
try to overturn it. You did have your Justice Department try to direct the Supreme Court to overturn
we got a little bit of a surprising opinion, to be honest with you. If it would have been overturned, we would have had much better health care right now. But right now...
Yeah, that's Donald Trump's claim. Hey, I could replace it with something better. If someone's like, it's like replacing Obamacare is like someone replacing your internet. Oh, look, I give you the same internet with a lower cost. Would you want to replace your internet? You wouldn't be like, oh my God, I don't want to replace my internet. No. You would be like, oh yeah, I'm open to that. Let's go. And essentially, that's what he tried to do with Obamacare. But how the left frames it? Oh, he's trying to take away your internet. He's trying to take away your health care. Well, Donald Trump's saying he's just trying to give it to me at a cheaper and less expensive price. What's wrong with that? This is the game of narratives that I'm talking about. But I want the interview to continue because now I'm kind of invested.
Now, we have something that I made the best of. I could have made the worst of it, and it would have fallen by the wayside. I did the right thing from a human standpoint, But, you know, I'm sort of proud of my decision. At the same time, sometimes I regret it. I told the people, and I gave them the money to do it. I said, fix it, make it work, because people would have suffered. But it's too bad that they voted no. I wish John McCain, I wish he fought for 10 years on replacing Obamacare for 10 years, and then he voted against. Nobody understands it.
Sir, you said during the campaign you had concepts of a plan. Do you have an actual plan at this point for health care?
Yes, we have concepts of a plan that would be better.
Still just concepts? Do you have a fully developed plan?
Let me explain. We have the biggest.
But this is how what one of the disingenuous things about that question is that you want him to have a plan, right? And all I'm trying to ask is, what plan did you have to address it? Because end of the day, you didn't seem to disagree. The problem with Obamacare was the Democrats' plan on this. You can't criticize someone else's approach, right? And concepts of the plan, it's fine. Like, if you have let's say you had a detailed plan, you know, anyone who lived life knows that things don't go according to plan. Things don't always go your way. And in plans, you have to make what? Adaptations, adjustments. But let me show you. Let me show you this.
If you go back 25 years ago, you had very little autism. Now you have it. I mean,
Well, they say because they're better at identifying it.
Why do you move their eyes like that?
1 in 100,000, and now it's 1 in 100. That's a pretty bad number.
Childhood vaccines
I mean,
have
something is going on. I don't know if it's vaccines. Maybe it's
Let's
maybe
investigate
it's
it.
chlorine in the water, right? You know, people are looking at a lot of different things.
You know, childhood
I
vaccines.
want them to look at everything. If you go back 25 years ago, you had very little autism. Now,
Autism rates have tripled. It is now more common or rare, or are we just better at diagnosing? This is a question. Do study research suggests doctors have improved at identifying autism, especially with children with above or above average IQs? But that doesn't explain the entire trend, which is what Donald Trump is saying. But immediately she tries to push back. Immediately she's trying to push back, right? And it's just amazing to me. It's amazing to me how biased the media can be. But you know, it's what we come to expect. Let me know what your thoughts is. I think I try to give you as much of the interview as I can in as much little time as I could. I kind of went over what I expected to do, but it's fine. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I would like to see and hear what you guys have to say about the Kristen Welker interview with Donald Trump. Do you think Donald Trump handled himself well? I think he did. Did Kristen Welker expose herself as biased? Probably she did. But, you know, I'd like to hear your opinions on this. Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.